Alright guys, today is the day the turbo R18 Civic goes full E85. When we first went turbocharged on version 2, we did run a ethanol blend, roughly about E15, E20 blend on this car, and it did just fine, and there was plenty of fuel system left. Going into this season, I plan to go full E85, as you will see today. And we are pretty much empty. We are pretty much empty on gas. I got a E85 gas station of choice that we're gonna go and tank up. We're also gonna be running a ethanol analyzer to check the ethanol content of that gas station. Now it's springtime. I'm not sure about the ethanol content, but this gas station pretty much had somewhere in the 82 to 84% ethanol range prior to this. So I'm a big believer in that station. And we're also going to be testing out on Honda. We're going to be checking the fuel trims as we pump the E85 in the vehicle, and we're going to be seeing how it converts the fuel trims, and we're going to be tuning it accordingly. We're probably going to give it 30% more fuel right off the bat, and kind of tuning it around the perfect AFR. Once we get the AFR good and true to what it needs to be, we might be adding some ignition timing on the map just to get a little bit more power. Now E85 is less prone to knock. Due to that, you can increase the timing a few degrees and it should be okay and give you a little bit power benefit as well. All right, we made it to the gas station, pretty much empty on gas. I got Honda pulled up and we're currently idling, and we got -2 degrees of fuel trim. I'm gonna leave the car on and start pumping the E85 in the vehicle, and we're slowly going to be seeing the fuel trims add more fuel, because again, E85 is consumed at a faster rate, roughly about 30%. So we'll see at what point the car is going to maybe try to turn off and die based on this 93 octane tune.
Squad by Maria Menounos, tip of the day. One healthy, delicious, brain-friendly hot cocoa. Brain expert Dr.
All right, so the car is running. So we got 2 bars on the car right now. I'm not really noticing much of an AFR difference at the moment. 4 bars right now. Still got a good air fuel ratio. My target is 14.5 with the current tune. 6 bars of fuel right now. Car's still idling just fine. No issues. I'm still waiting to get this into the positive territory on the short-term fuel trims. We're half a tank right now. All right, there it goes. It's starting to turn positive. Not as bad as I thought. Yeah, the car's still idling just fine. AC just turned on. That's probably why this is changing right now. We're almost at a full tank of gas. We got 9.5 gallons in there right now. I'm really surprised at this point because I thought this was going to be a much different turn. All right, we are full and we're still at 3 positive on the short-term fuel trims. Full tank of gas. Idle is absolutely perfect still. Going into 4.
Wendy's new orange dreamsicle frosty. Try the new limited edition orange dreamsicle frosty at Wendy's.
Doesn't make sense. This doesn't make sense to me. Am I sure I put E85 in? All right, so what I'm gonna do right now is I'm just gonna leave the current tune and we're gonna take it for a spin, and then we're gonna look at the data log to see how much things are off. But I mean, right now it doesn't look off at all. So we'll go for a spin and see how things go. So after about 5 minutes of driving, you can see a little bit changed right now. About 13, anywhere from 13 to 15 short-term fuel trims. If I give it a little bit of gas, it gets worse. 12. So once I get home, I'm definitely gonna adjust the fuel map. Just kind of eyeball that. All right, we're back at home right now, and this is a 93 octane cruise and drive, and as you can see, the zero line is right over here, and I'm pretty conservative here. It's not adding too much more fuel above the zero line. Let me see if I can show you that in a better way. Yeah, so that's my zero line where the paper ends, and anything above it is adding fuel, but we're not really seeing more than 5% short-term fuel trims. Switching and adding E85 gas on the short drive home, you can already tell once the gas is circulating, it is adding a lot of fuel. The fuel trims are definitely kind of getting whacked at pretty much cruise and idle. 35% at 1200 RPMs. There's spikes to about 38. There's a bunch in the 20s. And yeah, definitely very sloppy. I mean, granted, the tune and the data points were short. It was a very short drive. But yes, we are adding, I would say on average here, 20-25%. So what we're going to be doing now is we're going to be going into our calibration file under our fuel segment and low fuel map. We're going to be adjusting the tune here. Currently we are running about 3 pounds of boost, but yeah, I'm going to take this whole map, adjust it, and we're going to give it, let's just give it 30% of fuel right now extra. So that's going to adjust our map quite a bit here, increase the map and the fuel delivery, and we're going to upload this tune and drive it, data log, drive, data log, and we're going to be adjusting the tune from there. We might, depending on the fuel duty cycle, we might pull some of the fuel back, and again, depending on our air fuel ratios, we might pull some of that fuel back. Hopefully right now I disconnected the wastegate, as you guys seen from the video, on the turbo, so I'm not going to be making boost. So again, if off of boost, my duty cycles look good, still like 60-70%, you know, then we can add a couple more pounds of boost, and hopefully we don't peak more than like 85 to 90% duty cycle. I really would like to stay below 85% fuel duty cycle if possible. So this is going to be a couple day process. I'm going to be going back and forth and adjusting things so everything looks good. I'm also going to be testing that E85 gasoline we just got with that ethanol tester, so I'll let you know what the current ethanol content of that fuel is right now. So I uploaded my 30% tune. I've been driving it around with the wastegate disconnected, so no boost. I'm still averaging some short-term fuel trims between 2 to 5, so I'm probably going to be adding 5% more fuel in the entire map. And I also just came back to the gas station because I totally forgot to get a sample of E85. So we just got some more E85 here, and yeah, we'll test that out. But so far it looks okay, feels okay. I mean, I'm not noticing any difference, but yeah, no hiccups, no issues, no misfires. Everything seems just about the same as before. E75. So here is the short-term fuel trim from the latest log, about 30-minute drive with some wide open throttle pulls, and you can see that is cleaned up quite a bit. I can still definitely clean it up a little bit. I'll probably add a good 4% to the map, maybe 5% to the entire map, but that already looks pretty good. I'm just trying to stay away from the positive territory. So that looks pretty dang good. Now let's go on some other data points here. Let's look at our duty cycle right over here. I did set my alarm at 55% duty, and I did ring it when I was pretty much at wide open throttle. So right over here, yeah, I'm at 57% duty, wide open throttle. And yeah, I think that was close to the top of second. You could see at 6,500 RPMs, I was already reaching that duty, which is fine. You know, this is the duty I would normally reach when I was at around 3.5 pounds of boost. So let's see how much higher it will go once we go into boost. I thought this was going to be a long process, but if the AFRs look good after dialing it in just that one time, we are pretty much gonna make this really quick and easy. Let's go back to AFR. Let's see how our AFRs look like. AFRs in the 10s, 10.3, 10.3. It does peak a little bit. See, it does richen up after 5,000 RPMs, and I'm not sure if that's just a sign our fuel system isn't really keeping up, but we'll keep an eye on that. But it's not trending in the right direction. It's still a good AFR, 10.7, and that might have not even been in boost, but just the curve, I don't want it to creep up. I want it to kind of stay consistent right over here. 10.5 is what we were tuned for in 93 octane. Let's just look at the fuel tables right over here. Fuel tables are pretty good, a little rich. Yeah, I mean a little lean right over here. I mean, again, I don't expect the tune to be completely cleaned up just by adding the 30 or whatever percent of fuel, but just from doing that, we are looking pretty good. A little bit lean on the low end over here, 2-3%, a little bit lower, but overall not good. I think if I add this 5% more fuel all around right now, I think that's just gonna clean it up. And if it's still somewhat rich at the top end, then I'll pull some away from the top end. But overall, pretty dang easy, pretty simple. Let's look at a log right over here. Yeah, my targets are like 11.5 roughly right before I hit boost. So let's go second gear right there. I enter boost, and yeah, I'm rich. I'm at a good level. Oh, so I see why. So we were in boost right over here, and then as we go in RPMs, I'm losing that boost. That's why the air fuel ratio, you see, that explains the air fuel ratio getting a little leaner here, because I was in boost, as you can see, at some point 4,500, and as we kept revving out, I was out of boost. So okay, now fuel pump should be good. We're all good, everything's fine. See, because as we enter and start making boost again, the air fuel ratio right there, right on target. So yeah, pretty happy all around. Everything looks solid. So I got something interesting. This is the E85 log from tonight, and at the top, again, I'm right at 57% duty, as you can see. Now I went and looked at an old log on 93 octane with the wastegate disconnected, and look where I'm at with that. On that log, I'm looking like roughly 40 to 44% in this area. So you take 76 minus 43, it gives us about a 15% difference from the same kind of throttle and power between 93 and E85. So right now, if I'm at 57% with the current E85 tune, what you can strategically just do is add about 15% to that duty cycle, and that's roughly how it's gonna look like once we go boost. And let's do the math right now. So 57 minus, let's say 43 roughly we saw. That's 14% difference. So let's go 57 plus 14. We're gonna be at 71% duty cycle with the 3.5 pounds of boost that we've been running. And if that's the case, I mean, we still got more room for boost. We can probably push it maybe another pound before we start getting into the 80s. And definitely I'm not pushing it past 85. I definitely don't want to do that, because my stock or my SI injectors at the time with my version 1 turbo kit were pushing roughly around 82 to 89% duty cycle, more towards the winter when the air was denser. So I definitely don't want to get it that far, because that's technically when I blew the first motor, and I don't know for what reasons it blew, but I'm thinking maybe fueling issue. Maybe we were overdoing the Civic SI fuel injectors. So I'm staying clear of the 80s, baby. But that's good news. That's a good sign. I'll keep tuning the next few days, and we'll see how far we get with this. All right, so after doing some data logging, adjusting the fuel map a little bit, and increasing boost to about 4 psi from roughly about 3.2 to 3.5, we have settled the debate. We are at 74% duty cycle, 74, 75 roughly, at about 4.1, 4.2 pounds of boost on full E85. And that is pretty safe. We're not even touching 85%. I mean, technically we can still increase boost a little bit more if we wanted to, and probably we can increase the boost to about 5%, and we'd be right around 82% duty cycle roughly. So still we have some wiggle room. I think the car is pretty happy where it's at. I'm still dialing in some of the ignition timing now with E85, making it nice and smooth and shifting smooth as it's an automatic transmission. So we're doing some magic, but everything looks legit. And so far, the car with E85, after I can say about a week of driving it with E85, it definitely feels torquier throughout the whole power band. That's pretty much a given. And then the other thing I can tell you guys is that the fuel consumption definitely is worse. I'll tell you that much. Usually for a half a tank of gas, I can get roughly about 130 miles per gallon, and I just barely got 90 miles to the half a tank. So roughly you're shorting yourself about 80 miles to the tank with full E85 compared to 93 octane. Air fuel ratios look still pretty good. Again, I'm at roughly about 32% more fuel over the 93 octane tune. I'm still trying to shoot for roughly about 10.5 on the factory narrow band sensor, as it's not that accurate. And if it does go a little bit leaner, 10.6, 10.7, not too big of a concern on E85, since it already is burning a lot cooler. And I've heard that you can lean it out a little bit more on E85 to bump up the power a little bit, but it's still safe enough to prevent any knocking due to its characteristics. So overall, guys, good experience. Very impressed with the factory fuel system so far. I mean, it's flowing well. I'm not going lean towards redline, so everything looks good. Stock fuel pump on the LX, which is again the same fuel pump as a Civic Si, and we've seen Civic Si's push to 210, 220 easily on stock fuel system, stock fuel pump. So yeah, all in all, I'm pretty happy with the results. And if there's going to be any changes in the future, I'm sure I will tune those in to you guys. And drop a comment down below. What do you guys think about E85? Would you run it in your car? Have you run it in your car? Did it screw up your fuel system? I'm curious to know.
I ain't here for the money, I ain't here for the fame. Though it might be nice to own a jet plane, I'ma do it all for you. Come along and see us.